Hey, did you know that there's significant changes coming if you're looking to obtain finance to purchase a home later this year? Hey, Scott Himelstein with the Scott Himelstein Group. Today we're joined by a preferred vendor on the lending side, Brandon Moss with Prime Lending. So before we talk about today's subject, a reminder, if you're looking to sell a home, our free home value report, and if you're looking to purchase a home, we have our free MLS search tool as well for properties all over Southern California. All right, so we're joined by Brandon Moss of Prime Lending, and Brandon, the Consumer Finance Protection Board has instituted several changes that will affect how buyers will be going through the lending process later this year.
Yes, they have, Scott. The CFPB, Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, has now implemented a new policy called TRID. TRID is basically a revamp of the disclosure process. Those of you that know of the good faith estimate is now being replaced by a new form called the loan estimate. As well as the estimated HUD-1 closing settlement statement is now being replaced by the closing disclosure. These new disclosures are much more consumer friendly. They explain the terms of the loan a little bit easier for the average person to understand. So it's a good thing to the buyer and the consumer out there to help understand these loan process and loan terms better than in the past.
Well, so the question that obviously comes to mind is, especially if I'm looking to buy a home with financing, Brandon, how do these new guidelines and rules affect me as the buyer? Okay,
so Scott, there are a few new rules and regulations with these new disclosures. First and foremost, the new loan estimate must be issued 3 days after the initial application date. This new loan estimate must be pretty much the same as the closing disclosure in the end. When the closing disclosure is issued, there's a 3-day waiting period from the time the closing disclosure is issued till the time the closing documents can be drafted. In the past, we were able to get a final approval on a loan and then order loan documents that same day. Now, this new closing disclosure must be issued to the consumer, and a 3-day waiting period starts at that time before any closing documents or closing process can take place.
Right, so now it's even more important to get your credits for requests for repairs or any invoices from vendors. Don't submit them to escrow at the very last moment, otherwise you might be able to expect delays.
Exactly. In addition to that, stuff like homeowners insurance policies, closing cost credits like Scott said, all that stuff needs to be done up front and ahead of time. You don't want to make any changes during that last few days of the loan process, otherwise the 3-day waiting period starts again. So any sort of interest rate changes, loan amount changes, closing cost credits that the lender may have not been aware of must be disclosed ahead of time so that 3-day waiting period doesn't have to start over again. These type of things will cause delays in closing if you're not prepared up front and you don't do your due diligence ahead of time. So just be careful of that.
All right, so if any questions regarding TRID and the new guidelines that will begin October 1st here in 2015, you can give us a call directly at the Scott Himelstein Group, 818-396-3311, 818-396-3311, or you can call our preferred lender, Brandon Moss with Prime Lending, 818-256-4330, 818-256-4330. And thanks again for watching our video blog.